famous baseball players of our time. But now Alex Rodriguez has taken his talents from the field to the boardroom, and he's scoring big there, too.
I think a lot of the athletes that I think you're talking, I think they don't have the right, I think, vision and strategy and team and the right alignment with that team. I read something where there was over 50% of athletes were going bankrupt after their playing days. And if you just keep it simple, we say baseball, let's keep it simple. Same thing in business. If all the athletes give all their money to Blackstone and go take a nap for 20 years, that 50% number of going bankrupt will go to zero. Blackstone, Berkshire Hathaway, they're the greatest investors in the world. And I think if we want to attack this epidemic, we have to attack it with simplicity and best investors in the world.
You say epidemic. Literally half of professional athletes end up broke?
You know, that's the stat that I've read over and over again. And Chris, I think if you still have to go work with the amount of capital that we've made, that's a tragedy. But it's a lot easier to go bankrupt or to run into financial issues. And I'll give you the math. You take a player that makes $100 million in his career. He plays in LA or New York, 50% taxes. So now you're down to $50 million. You give your lawyer, pay your lawyer 10%. Now you're down to $40 million. 5% to your agent, you're down to $35 million. Now, you haven't bought a house, you haven't bought a car, and you haven't even gone through your first divorce yet. So there you go.
Well, you got to factor all those things in. All right, let's take you back out of the $100 million range of the first divorce. You grew up with a single mother, and I'm told that you guys used to have to move when the rent would get too high. So how does that kid, from that background, with no college education, how do you become a big, successful businessman?
Well, I think a big dream, a big vision. I come from very modest beginnings, but my dreams and my vision weren't modest. But specifically with my mom, I saw her as a single mother. My dad left when I was 10, left back my mother and my two siblings. So the four of us in one two-bedroom apartment. And I saw her with two jobs. I saw the struggle. It felt like every 30 days was like every 3 days. And it was a struggle, and it was painful for me to watch that. And we had to move, Chris, every 18 months because the landlord kept raising the rents. And I remember as a 12 or 13-year-old boy, I got down on one knee in my mom's bedroom when she was at work. And I said, "Dear Lord, if I ever have an opportunity to trade places with the landlord, I will." And sure enough, about a decade later, I bought my first duplex in Miami.
One of your big mentors along the way has been Warren Buffett, and who took an interest in you because he had to help ensure your huge contract with the Texas Rangers. Is it true that at one point he tried to teach you about investing, talking about Ted Williams?
He sure did. And, my relationship with Warren now goes back over 20 years. And I thought it was really neat that he insured my contract with the Rangers. He said Ted Williams was my favorite hitter because he was the most disciplined hitter. That's how I look at investing in businesses. Now, the one difference in baseball, you have to swing at the edges with two strikes. In business, you don't ever have to swing. You can take one swing a year, two swings, one swing every 5 years, and you're fine. You just wait till you get your fat pitch. But he said, "Alex, when you get that fat pitch, go get a grand slam, hit a bomb."
Well, all right, let's talk about the bomb, because the umbrella for all of your holdings is something called the A-Rod Corporation, and then that includes real estate, private equity, venture capital, sports teams. Give me a sense. I'm sure people are wondering as they listen, how big are you when you take all of the funds, all of the investments, total valuation? Give us a sense of what A-Rod Corporation is.
So in talking about Warren Buffett, he's been my mentor and long-term teacher. I spent so many days with him in Omaha. And for lack of a better term, is a mini Berkshire Hathaway, but we're private. But 75%, 80% of our business is real estate. Chris, one of the things that people don't know is that we've acquired over 20,000 multifamily apartments in almost 20 states. And over the last 5 years, we've acquired almost 10,000 single-family homes for rent. And we're making big impacts in these communities, both with our returns, but also socially giving back to these communities.
So what I didn't hear is a number there. Total amount of money in.
I would say if you were to put a value in our enterprise, it's probably somewhere between $1 billion and $2 billion with our holdings.
So real money. Now, one of the things that you're doing, and I've kind of enjoyed this, is that you are part of a group that's going to become the majority owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves next year. And one of the players that you've taken on is a fellow named Rudy Gobert, who is in the second year of a $205 million contract. So here's my question. How does it feel to go from the star athlete who's getting paid a fortune to the owner who's paying someone else a fortune?
It's kind of a conundrum. I don't know how to feel about it. But look, I'm a huge fan of athletes. I feel like I'm one of them. I get it. And the great thing about the NBA is a wonderful league. It's a global sport. It's growing at a tremendous pace with great leadership with Adam Silver and a great ownership group. And as the league grows and the revenues grow, the salaries grow. I mean, unlike baseball, you have just one thought process is let's grow the pie as big as possible around the world, both in popularity and in revenue, and then you split it right down the middle. And as a result of that, these salaries are going to keep getting higher and higher. I believe you'll have an athlete in the next 5 years in the NBA that will make $100 million per year.
Really?
Yes.
And do you think that's right?
I mean, we are in the greatest country in the world. And as an athlete, I thought it was right. So as an owner, I have to think it's right. Now, the one concern I think that I have, even if I was the player or for our players, is to make sure that their focus remains in basketball. Because when you have these type of resources, there's a big responsibility and you just have to stay focused. I'm a man with brown skin as well. And there's challenges that they have gone through that perhaps I can relate with. And I get athletes, and I'm also here to help. I spend a lot of time with our athletes talking about financial literacy, about the challenges. And it's important they have a place where they can go and actually talk.
So explain, when you say financial literacy, meaning?
The importance of how the capital markets work, the importance of how to balance a checkbook, how to read a P&L, the difference between recourse debt and non-recourse debt, and invest. About this, an asset versus a liability. Everyone thinks a home is an asset. I think a home is a liability. The asset is a multifamily. And the reason why, the house takes money out of your pocket every month, and a multifamily puts money in your pocket every month. And the more this country knows about financial literacy and can invest in their future in things that produce cash flow, we're going to be better off as a country.